so welcome back to another Xpeng stock video. Tonight we are giving our predictions for the current week because right now we are seeing the stock price drop. I'm going to be talking about whether you should be concerned about that. I'm going to be talking about if it matters. I'm going to be talking about why it has shot up so high in the very first place. So if you do like the sound of that, please do like and subscribe. We're just going to check right now how many subscribers we are on. Just give us a second. You can see here, I think it's lagging a little bit. Also, we now have a message from our Discord. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But yeah, I think we're on about 186. So yeah, we're on 786. So we are doing amazingly. If you could just help us by subscribing, continue the growth, get us to 1,000, massively appreciated. Like I said about that Discord notification, come on, join us on Discord. It's completely free. It's all about stocks, as you just saw. So yeah, the link will be down in the description if you do want to come. It's a really friendly place to be, and we have loads of members. So then, let's have a quick look now at a few of Xpeng's cars. So the last video that we made on Xpeng, feel free to go check it out by the way, we touched on the P7 specifically and why I think it is potentially a market leader. I'm going to talk about why this plays into the growth in just a moment, but basically what I'm saying is that this car is in a new sector. It's kind of what people want. So obviously if we have notice trends in Europe and also in America, we are seeing a lot of people going towards the crossover SUV style of vehicle, but that doesn't mean that there is not a market for this type of vehicle. So if we have a quick look at some of the competitors, we're not going to do that on screen, we did that in the last episode, but I'm just going to talk you through it. We had a look at some of the competitors. We saw that the Tesla Model 3, which is a similar body shape car, it's kind of like a saloon car, quite small to be honest. The car was doing amazingly well. It was doing like 3 times the amount of sales as its closest competitor. It was doing absolutely amazingly, and that just shows that if you make the right car at a cheap price, people will still buy it. And I think that's really where your economies of scale come in to this business model, but that's a completely different topic. Basically, make something that looks premium, feels premium, and is relatively cheap, and has a lot of features which people who may be buying this car will want. Obviously, we can imagine what type of people will be buying this car. Same for the Model 3. It's a mixture between people who are environmentally conscious, people who like technological features. A lot of people who like electric vehicles are going to go for that anyway. A lot of people who like technology in general are going to go for that because of the gadgets within the Model 3, because of course we all know what Teslas are like on the inside. Same story does kind of go for Xpeng as well, with their autopilot and a few other cool features. We saw that video where they use this light bar. I'm going to highlight it right now. This light bar down at the front to make some cool videos, because it all lights up basically, which is kind of a new headlight design which we haven't seen before. They use it to make some cool videos, nice PR stunt, and it kind of worked for them, to be honest. And it was only like a gimmick, and I do like the company, but I am saying that it was only a gimmick. I love the company, I need to highlight that, but that was not, a useful feature. But you know what? It did very well. Similar thing, which is, it's a cool feature. Yes, we like it when supercar manufacturers do this, but they kind of released their extreme edition of the P7 that was in green and it had wings. That was cool, and I think that also boosted the share price slightly towards the later part of last week and into this week as well. But I think the reason why we are seeing the stock price go down is due to a few factors actually. So I think it's important to note the growth that we have seen so far. Article here on UK Investor Magazine talking about how the stock has already rallied 315% in 2 months. So we're not going to look into the article, but the title really just does say it all. You know what I mean? We've seen huge growth on this one on the 6-month period. Obviously, the stock did go IPO this year, not that long ago actually, and we've seen huge growth already. The stock was at like $10, now it's at $70, and I think there are a few reasons for that. So I think to understand what we need to do in the future weeks and months, we need to look at what has happened in the past. So let's look at the facts that we already know. So first things first, I think one of the big reasons why the stock is rallying so high is because people do see the potential first and foremost. Obviously, like I said about the P7 and specifically the G3, I think that will be a better seller in the long-term period if they can lower the prices. But these are the type of cars which the market wants right now. Yes, it's arguably true that the market for kind of like sedans and whatnot is dying out. But like I just said, the Tesla Model 3 shows that people are still looking for something with that body style if it's at the right price. So obviously the price for the Xpeng P7 is relatively low. That forced up a lot of sales. We saw great sales figures. That forced up the share price even higher. Yada, yada, yada. You know how it goes. They just worked in tangent to bring each other up. And I think subsequently we got kind of like the Tesla effect, if you will, where we saw a lot of hype build around it and people bought in thinking that this is going to be the next Tesla. And it probably is on some fronts, and it probably still will be. But I think, people were expecting a little bit too much too far, and that kind of forced up the price. Now, I'm not saying that the stock is over or undervalued right now, because it's one of those things where, in my opinion, the stock has kind of just jumped itself into a market share which is already decent. The company is doing already decently, so I think the share price is kind of finding its level where it is comfortable at. And it looks like, I'm not saying that we are seeing it, but it looks like we may be finding that with this small dip which we have seen recently. So that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. I think once we do see that dip, I think we are going to see a little bit of a sell-off, whether that be this week or next week or whenever. Obviously, if the dip this week does continue, it will probably be this week into next week. If we see that dip, it could actually be a potentially great opportunity. People will see this as, mayhem, as we saw with Tesla when Tesla sold off from a huge high. Actually, if you look at this logically from the long-term point of view, isn't this an opportunity to buy more? Because what I said with Tesla back in the day when we were covering that when it went up, similar story here, and it's a sense that basically the company has rallied so high, and I think a lot of the fear has jumped out of the market when the stock does sell off. I think a lot of the hype has jumped out of the stock as well, and that is not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing, because when we see a small correction, and a lot of the people who are in it just for the money, if you will, or in it just for the quick term money more specifically, once we see a lot of those jump out of the company, I think that's when we can see the big growth continue. So yes, I will say that this stock could potentially, now don't mix my words here, don't tell me that I'm going to be wrong, because it could not on the same note, and I'm no financial advisor or anything, this is just my opinion, but it could definitely see a sell-off this week. How steep will that sell-off be? I would not say too steep, I would say maximum like $15. But even so, I would say then we are probably going to see the share price start to build again and see more positive figures as we have seen in the past few months. Because when we look at the company itself, even though it still does have potential, so like I said, do not mishear me when I say that, because it could definitely just carry on. I think the company selling off would not be a bad thing, because like I said, more investors can get in at a cheaper price. And when we look at it from a long-term point of view, does it even matter? I mean, yes, we do want to get the cheapest price that we can possible, but looking at it from a long-term point of view, we have companies like Tesla back in the day. I mean, yes, it was a good company in the long term, but the numbers did not necessarily match where the share price was at the time. With this company, it's freshly IPO'd, the sales figures are just rocketing up month on month on month. They're unveiling technology, they're unveiling the things that people want, they're cutting the prices of the cars. So for a long-term view, I would not really worry about this one too much. So like I said, feel free to come and tell us what you think over on Discord. We can't wait to hear what you have to say. So yeah, come and join us over there. See you there. Thank you so much for your time. Goodbye.